Welcome to the Brain. This week we're going to be talking about robots, in specific Google and their involvement in robotics, Boston Dynamics, and the little thing that they're doing, and that MIT has discovered that they're all liars. Let's go. All right, I want to thank Generosity X. Generosity X partners with charities to increase their annual giving revenue through optimization and innovation and ethical use of AI. Check out generosityx.com.
All right, Dave. So the core thesis for this show is that we've all been duped. Every single one of us that thought that these videos online, the engine AIs, the T800s, the UB whatever,
Tech, Walker S2,
all those, all like basically warehouse robots that we've seen in videos, things on lawns where people are serving drinks at the factories for launches. All of those are basically just remotely controlled. Remotely controlled robots.
No.
Yes.
I refuse.
Tele-controlled.
All of them. How can they all be?
That's what MIT.
They know a few things, those guys.
They've released an article that says that the vast majority, so well over 50% of anything we're seeing where there's humanoid robots, it's actually a human controlling a robot. And that we are legitimately we have a long way to go before robots can autonomously do the things that everyone is claiming that they are going to do, that we're still a long way off from that. And what's happening, and I don't know why the bend goes this way on the article, but it's like they want to give credit where credit is due. What about all the humans that are doing all this robot work for them?
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like these guys are like, they're all getting the shaft because they're like behind the scenes controlling these robots and no one's talking about them.
Do you mean like the robot demos that we're seeing, or like even once they're deployed into the workforce, it's still a guy working from home with a robot?
So I don't know about like Figure in the BMW factory or like the Walker S2 robots that are effectively doing. Now that's not necessarily, we call that autonomous work, but that's really not necessarily autonomous work. They're programmed to do the very specific movements in a very specific way. Right. You know what I mean? They're not making decisions. And I think that's what MIT is talking about. MIT is talking about demos where it seems like a robot is making human decisions, that those tend to be actually humans doing.
We've seen that a lot with like the Optimus robots at parties. Like
at parties.
Famous, like you know that video?
Yes.
Where he's serving drinks at a party, and then right before the robot passes out, it looks like a teleoperator taking off his VR glasses, and the robot falls backwards. But you don't mean just those situations. You mean like, what else? Like we know that but Neo, the video demos of him going around doing a thing. We know that's probably a human. I think they've been pretty open about the fact, even in their demos. Yeah, it's a guy. It's Sven from Norway. He's controlling your Neo, or like there's situations where we know that's the case.
Yeah, the opposite side of the story is that there are, and some would argue that this is the proof that MIT is right, is that there are legitimate companies that are getting tons of funding to solve that actual problem of like there not being true autonomy. So like we have companies like AMI Labs, which is Jan LeCun's new startup, DeepMind Genie 3, admitting that the problem exists. You know, like there's a number of different companies that are tackling this. Nvidia Cosmos, a company called Physical Intelligence, General Intuition. These are all companies that have raised money to solve the gap between what is a language model and a world model, the understanding of physics. Like gravity is real for all autonomous robots.
Theory.
It's just a theory. It's just a theory. But like the world of physics is different than the world of words, and there needs to be this work being done. So what they're arguing, or what several people are arguing, is that they're hyping this cycle on robotics, showing people what the future in 10 years looks like, and raising money against that vision, which is what, startups do. But we're still so far away from there. And I think that's the disconnection. It's like they're not being very transparent about the fact that, like, our Neo, you know how we keep saying, like,
he's going to be awesome when he comes.
The Neo is going to be amazing when he gets here, and he's going to do all the things automatically because they'll catch up so quickly. I think this was a dose of reality for me when I read this article. It was like, okay.
Well, what if he's one of the 50% that are awesome?
But here's the maybe.
There's only half of them.
I want that to be the case so much, Dave. But here's what's probably going to happen. What's probably going to happen is I'm going to get the VR set that's shipped to me with the Neo, and I'll spend most of my time doing the dishes remotely.
Work from work. It's like chores from work. It's the opposite of work from home.
Exactly. I'll be doing chores from work.
On your commute home, you're just doing the dishes while you're riding.
People are going to look in the office and go, "Wow, Joel's got his VR headset on, doing all this stuff. That must be important work."
Laundry.
It's my Neo driving my kid to the next basketball practice.
Oh, don't make him drive your kids. So there's a lot of it. There's a lot of videos. I think it's the Ubi Tech. I think it's the G1.
Yes.
The little guy with like the hollow head.
Yes. Yep.
You think those are autonomous, or are they fully remote?
So they're remote controlled.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're
and a lot of the dogs are too, right? Like the little dogs. I've been at like trade shows, and it's like, oh, look at this guy is rocking around with his LiDAR sensors. But then you're like, that guy.
Yeah.
Like, look, I can make a wave. Like,
exactly.
It's not really.
One of the first things. Now, I'm not saying this is not fun. Like, I think it's actually cool to autonomously control, to remotely control a fully humanoid robot. One of the first things that I did with my son when we got into like the AI stuff was try to reprogram a Cosmo, the little kind of tracked robots that were made by Anki, and bring him into our home. And we tried to reprogram it with Cursor to have its own, like, to feed LLM input through it, through its eye, through its cameras, and then we would get it to like go into the girls' room and freak them out because they knew their names and stuff like that.
Did I tell you that I got a little driving robot?
No.
Yeah. It was I put it together with my sons. It was a kit from Amazon. It was like $100. It's got sensors on the bottom, so it can like see what's underneath it. It's got ultrasonic sensors, so it can see how far away objects are.
Yep.
It's got a camera in it. It's got Wi-Fi, so it can stream the camera signal. But it's all based on an Arduino system.
Yes.
So you can get the like AI lenses for them that have object detection, and you can snap on like tons of stuff onto this robot.
Yep.
So right now I've got it just so it can navigate the house. It doesn't know what it's doing.
Right.
But it uses its sensor, and when it gets close to an object, the sensor's on a servo, and it can look around to see like where's the opening that I should go, and it'll turn itself and go that way.
So good.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say if you're interested in like AI and robotics, get a kit like this.
Yes.
It's less than $100. You spend another $100, you've got all the AI sensors
you
could imagine.
Yes.
You could have a display on there.
Yeah.
You could have a locally hosted like small language model on there. There's so many good ones now.
Totally.
You could have a conversational
robot in your home
that you put together.
Yep.
You don't even know how to code it all.
Yep.
Claude's going to code it for you.
Exactly.
You literally just say, I've got these chips. You can ask it, I want this robot kit to do this. What parts do I need?
Yeah.
It'll give you the list of parts.
Buy them.
You buy them, and it'll do the coding. You put it all together. You're just limited by your imagination.
Thanks, Dave. I feel empowered.
Yeah.
I think people do need to understand like that side of it is we're so far along. Like robotics, understand not having to be a technical person and still be able to accomplish like highly technical things. Yeah. It's really, really fun. The thing that everyone is chasing here though is the not having to tell a robot about its world. It's just inferring the values in the real world.
Yeah.
That kind of embodied intelligence is what a lot of people refer to it as. And I think we underestimate the value of our embodied intelligence. You know where you are. You know there are people around you. You automatically do all the math. None of it is, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you're overestimating some people.
Fair. Some people have no idea who they are.
Where am I? What am I doing here? Math.
Okay. I mean, in general, the human brain is doing a lot of the things.
Remarkable.
Quite remarkable.
Even
things.
a low functioning
human
mind is actually a pretty incredible machine.
Really quite an incredible thing.
Yeah.
So the gaps that we're trying to get across, they're imaginatively small, but they're practically very large.
Yeah.
And that's why there can be companies that raise $100 million for just jumping that gap, right? Because it actually is difficult.
You know, be an interesting test to do is you probably people have seen the test where you have that T and they have to go through two tiny doorways and they have the ants that navigate the T
thing through
and
the
then
ants.
they put the humans together and at first they can't talk to each other and then they can everybody can talk,
right?
And then only one person can talk and they're the leader and the leader always does better. But as a group, not talking, the ants are better. I'd love to see the experiment with robots that can communicate to each other and have them navigate that situation.
Yes, totally. Actually, one of the experiments that we're running on my brother's new project is this matching of deterministic understanding and undeterministic understanding. So like D&D is a good example of this. It has a deterministic rule sets. So it's like, this is how you progress through the game. This is how you level up. These are all the different ways and stats you have for that. Those are all deterministic outcomes based on very clear rules. But you have an undeterministic engine, the human being behind those things that cause all of the actions that create the deterministic outcomes. And that marrying, I think, is where we find ourselves in robotics right now. It's like these machines are still fully deterministic outputs. They have a system. When you do this, this happens. And we don't naturally do that. It's not something that humans know how to do well. So we actually have to grind it out over long periods of research. And I think that's the bottleneck. And we're going to be at that bottleneck, I think, for a long time still. I'm sad to say it, but I think my prognostication of the future is that for probably years yet, we're going to be fighting with robots. That's no. I don't mean like. I mean like we're going to be at odds with our own desires to see them be fully autonomous. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, we were talking last week, I guess, about Google and how they. I mean, they. Somebody was asking me about kind of what do I think Google's path is in all of this. They test everything. They're always putting out new products. Mm-hmm. Some appear and you never hear about them, then they disappear and you're like, that would have been cool. Or they appear and you love them and then they're like, nah, not enough people. Yep. Or they become mainstream, like Gmail.
Yeah, like Gmail.
You're like, what do you mean? What was before Gmail? Hotmail. You can tell how old a person is by whether or not they're using Hotmail account. Or even worse, Yahoo. Yeah. So they're always introducing something. One thing that they introduced years ago, it was actually in 2021 through their Moonshot lab. The Moonshot lab is like, we really don't think this is going to work.
This really won't work.
Yeah, it's like there's the long shot lab.
Aim for the moon.
It's a little bit more optimistic than the long shot lab, which is like, this probably isn't going to.
Wait, how many times have we landed on the moon? Once.
Let us know in the comments. How many times do you think we've landed on the moon?
Good one, Dave. Yeah, bring all those people out.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, anyway, so they made they started a company that's been owned by Alphabet since it spun out of orbit from the Moonshot lab. It's called Intrinsic, and they make robots and help to bring the like in industrial robots into a more autonomous, knowledgeable, more working.
Better, more working.
Yeah.
I get it.
And they provided tools that let developers compose robotic behaviors, supporting all sorts of different tasks. It was kind of the they described it as like the Android of robotics, where more people could access it and experiment with it and learn. They're bringing it back. So it was out of it was still owned by Alphabet. They're bringing it back into as Google. Part of Google. So really recognizing the need to bridge their AI models and the physical world. So they're actually, this is kind of their first public. We might dabble in this.
Yeah, I think the robotics organizations who are like actually building physical humanoid robots, they are fully aware because the money that's being siphoned into them is being siphoned into world model builders. So that's you mentioned like follow the money is something that you're quite good at. And like I've noticed on LinkedIn recently about this, the Embodied thing, and Anthropic was like, yeah, but the Pentagon, you know what I mean? Like, so if you follow the money in robotics, it's the same thing. You see the investment going into the robotics companies, but they are spending their time, resources, and energy on building software to help the robots interpret the world. And so if they're all doing this, that means that the gap there is large. If it was solved, they wouldn't have to spend the money.
Yeah, you're right.
So
it's interesting. 2 weeks ago, we talked about Genie 3 and how that would be a really great environment to train robots in.
And sure enough,
it's almost like they were watching the show. And they're like,
they
took
what? Our cue. They're
if only we had a robotics division. Oh wait,
we wish we had smart people like on Brain.
Let's just dust off this robotics division and pull it back into Google. Yeah,
they must have smart people there like us.
I've heard they have many.
Yeah.
Some might be like us.
Yeah. So I don't know. What are your prognostications on the future of robotics, Dave? You really want this Neo to like do a lot when you get
this episode is brought to you by the word prognosticate.
Oh yeah, I said that already. What do you think is going to happen in the future, Dave?
Yeah, I think in terms of what? In like the reality,
the reality of your Neo.
So I'm sticking to what I thought.
Okay,
that by the time it gets to me, it's going to be fantastic. This is the benefit of being an early adopter of a product that takes 2 years to deliver. You know, it's like I'm on board. I'm all in.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens when it gets here.
That's fair. That is actually a very valid point, because this is why full like self-driving FSD on the Teslas they hadn't released until now. How long have we been talking about, or has the industry? It feels like 10 years. It's not, but it feels like,
isn't it?
I think it's 6. I think it's 6 when they announced it. So it's like we effectively are just now getting to full autonomy on these vehicles, which are robots, right? They're just large on our roads.
That's fair. Google does have another robotics company.
Right.
Waymo,
yeah. And all of that visual data, all of the telemetry behind all of those machines feeding these giant AI world building models, like all of that counts. It's all going to solve the problem. But
So let me ask you about this MIT study. Neo shows up in my house now.
Okay.
Is it simply that 50% of the things that it was promised to do, it can't do? Or that it's 1 out of 2 that can't do anything?
I would venture that it's more on a corporation level. It's more like 1X, the company that does the Neo, like all of the Neos coming out of that company cannot do the thing yet.
Wow.
Yeah. So
you would say there's a bunch that fall into that category. The G1,
50% of them fall
in that category. The
category.
robot dogs, they're all there.
Yeah.
But things like the Figure 2,
You know, like that video, the viral video where the guy kicks himself in the nards with his robot as he's controlling with a
Joel,
with
if you
the
say
full,
stuff like that, you have to show it. And this time, and then last time we said we were going to show you a video, Joel did not put it in, and we looked like fools.
It's now, yes. Here's the video.
If you needed any proof that robots are indeed fighting back, well, take a look at this. There's a man wearing a motion capture suit which has got a bunch of sensors that robots can mimic his movements. So it all starts off fine, right? Yeah, then a quick kick in the Jats crackers, you could say.
That video shows what generally isn't on camera, is that there is someone controlling the fighting robot, doing the moves, getting, you know what I mean? Like, there is someone who is doing these acrobatic kung fu moves behind the scenes that you just cannot see. It's not a robot trained with a physics model that understands its own body and can do all these things. No, it's actually a gymnast beside it, like, you know, doing these things outside of the camera shot.
Should have stood a little further away.
Exactly. He should have just still.
Well, that's very interesting. Did they call out any models? Did they call out any of the robots, any of the manufacturers?
They didn't.
It's just that half of what we're seeing online is utter poppycock.
Yes. I think that's effectively what they've said.
Well, there's your disappointment for the week.
I really hope that Neo is in the 50% that do actually the thing. So they do have a world model that they've worked on, and they're using generative world building video to train the model. So my thinking goes like, oh, that's them trying to solve this problem well. I just don't know if the timing is actually going to hit. Like, they said that these were supposed to get into people's homes this calendar year, these Neos.
Yeah.
So they've got
early.
time. No, they've got time. They've got time. That's what you're saying. You're like, yeah.
We're also at the end of the line because we're in Canada.
Right. We're also at the end of the show.
So thank you for joining us. Let us know what you think. Is the number higher or lower than 50% of being nonsense? Are we being sold a tale?
A bill of goods.
Yes. Or are we actually going to see the future?
Which ones are the snake oil salesmen?
Which ones?
And which ones are
Name
not?
them. Call them out.
Let's do it. Thanks, guys. This was fun.
Bye.